about the rest of you, but I am a firm believer that this next section that I'm going to teach you is truly the key to success in both your professional and your personal relationships. Because we all know that the people who can communicate effectively without rubbing people the wrong way are the ones that seem to just sort of float up the food chain, right? Because communication is key. Now, having said that, I call this really assertiveness. It's about asking clearly and directly for what you want in an effective way so you can get it. But what stops most of us from being assertive? Fear of rejection. That's a huge piece of it, is it not? You know, what if I ask, I might lose their approval, or they may not like me, or if I'm, firm, they're going to call me names. I'm here to tell you that you've heard of whiplash. Well, I used to have wimp-lash. So I'm telling you, everything I'm teaching you here today, I've had to learn how to do myself. I wasn't born this way. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't come out like this. I embraced the tools, the techniques that I'm sharing with you today. Now, there's a whole nother category that you may not be familiar with. It's called passive digressive. Anybody heard of this one? Probably not, because I made it up myself. And I dedicated it to my mother, Helen, because she was the passive digressive woman from the get-go. Let me give you an example. My husband and I were going to take our two daughters up to Yosemite for a winter vacation a few years back. And my folks have been in my house many times, know the lay of the land, came to stay with us for a week before we were going on vacation, and they were going to remain in our home while we were gone. So anyway, we go up to Yosemite, and the phone rings. And right away, as soon as I checked in, I'm like, hello? Hi, honey, it's Mom. I'm like, Mom, is everything okay? Oh, yeah, everything's fine. Well, now I'm a little suspicious, because we're not the kind of family that calls each other on vacation, and no one was dead. So, honey, I was just wondering, do you and Peter always keep the heat at 68 degrees? Okay, I could see through her like a bar of Neutrogena. Why, Mom? Are you cold? Oh, no. I can just put on a sweater. Okay? Passive digressive. Why is it digressive? Because to digress means to be roundabout, to be indirect. You got to figure out what they're trying to say instead of just being clear and direct. And I know this is genetic because I'm walking to school with my daughter, Casey, who was then about 10 at the time, and she pulled another passive digressive technique, which is to complain to get what she wants. Oh, my backpack is so heavy. I'm like, Casey, if you want Mommy to carry that backpack, you just have to ask me clearly and directly, because I am not going to raise another generation of manipulative women who can't simply ask for what they want. Right? Gee, that garbage can's looking a little full. Passive digressive. Gee, it would sure be nice if somebody else put some copy paper in for a change. Passive digressive. I'm driving around with my friends not too long ago, and we were in Julian, which if you're not familiar with Julian, it's down by San Diego, and it's beautiful apple country. And we're driving down the country road, and there's a sign up there, 2 miles, apple pies on the side of the road. And my girlfriend's in the front seat with her husband, and she turns to the car, and she says, oh, it would just be great to have an apple pie sometime. And then when her husband goes right past the stand, right, she's like, and I'm like, no, don't you get upset with him. He is not a mind reader, and that was passive digressive. You never asked for what you wanted, you just hinted. All right, so do any of you recognize yourself in this category? Yeah, I know, and that's why I had to make this category up, because I think this is where so many of us fall. Because we want to be nice, we don't want to be bossy, we don't want to be pushy, so we end up in this hinting zone, which never works. So what's the solution? The solution is to be assertive. Isn't it so true that when someone tells you what a good job you've done, what's the first thing most of us do? Oh, it was nothing. even though I complained to my entire family for 3 weeks about it. It was awesome. Oh, I had a lot of help, right? Always quick to deflect the praise. I'm here to tell you that we need to learn how to accept praise with grace. And that's why I have that picture of that gift up there, because when I first learned how to do this, because I used to trash, myself all the time too. Oh, that's a great outfit. Ah, yeah, $19.99 TJ Maxx clearance. You know what I'm saying? I always had to discount a compliment. And, oh, gee, it looks like you've lost weight. Oh, well, I'm sure, it'll be back on next week, So what I learned to do instead is to visualize when someone gave me a compliment as literally handing me this Tiffany box. And if I chose not to receive it with grace, what I was really doing was going and knocking that sucker out of their hands. Think about that. A compliment is a gift. We need to learn how to accept it with grace. Plus, we want to be memorable. We want to get credit for the work that we're doing in order to get recognized within Cisco. And so why not use this phraseology? Thank you. I appreciate it being noticed because I put a lot of time, energy, and effort into that project. And I appreciate you noticing. Maybe you have a client who never pays you on time. My fee for service is due the 15th of the month, and I'm concerned because to date I haven't gotten a check from you. If we're going to move forward, I need payment today. And this can work with your family, too. I have 2 teenage daughters, all right? They're in a 12 by 12 room because basically I live within walking distance to the ocean, which means I live in $1 million piece of crap, okay? So they're shoved in this little room, and I could, if I chose, come home from one of my many trips, walk in and say, oh my God, it looks like a clothes grenade went off in here. I can't believe it. And what? It's all white noise. They don't even hear it anymore. Or I could use the assertive approach, which is, I found, much more effective. Girls, I see 4 wet towels, 7 pairs of jeans, and 3 clean shirts, and I know they're clean because I just put them on your bed the other day, on the floor. This concerns me because you told me that you were going to take care of this before you went out. I need you to put the clothes away immediately. Now, you see, they can't get into a screaming match with what's on the floor when I told them what I saw, because it's there. If you just said, you're lazy, you're messy, we can get into the big drama debate, right? So this is a great way to just make things happen and you get what you want. Visibility counts. I mean, too many people think that if they just keep their nose to the grindstone, work hard, make their boss look good, that they'll progress and that they're going to get the recognition, raises, and rewards that they deserve. And unfortunately, this is not always necessarily true. I mean, unless others are aware of who you are, what you do, and how well you do it, chances are that you're going to be overlooked and underappreciated. It's up to you to be proactive and position yourself for success. So how do you do that? Well, I say employ the VIP approach. And VIP stands for very important people, projects, and parties, which include events or associations. So let's say to be recognized, you need to be seen in the right situations and become memorable. Now, keep in mind that opportunities can either be within or outside of your organization, because gaining insight, knowledge, and practical experience working as a volunteer for a charitable organization, for example, can be just as valuable as utilizing your talents within the company. All right, so let's start with the people. Who are the stakeholders? Who is the power, the platform, or the persuasiveness to get your ideas, your interests, and your agenda heard? In other words, who are the individuals that hold the cards? Who are the stakeholders in the organization that can move your career forward? And is there someone that you would want to mentor you in the future, perhaps? Or do you know these people, and more importantly, they need to know who you are?
So take advantage of every opportunity that comes your way to introduce yourself to these individuals. Let's say that you step onto the company elevator and there stands the company president all by him or herself. I was just speaking up at Microsoft in Seattle, and I asked the question to the audience, whoever stepped on the elevator with Bill Gates when he was alone that took the time, if they didn't already know him, to introduce themselves to him, okay? Do you know that very few hands went up? We've got to take advantage of these few seconds to make an impression. It's about being memorable. Smile, give direct eye contact, and then introduce yourself if he or she doesn't already know who you are. Here's your chance, in fact, to pay a sincere compliment and get noticed at the same time. So you might say something like, well, Mr. Gates, I enjoyed reading your president's message in the company newsletter last week. I'm Carrie Hart from Human Resources. Or, hello, I recently read the report that you contributed to the company newsletter, and I found it fascinating. I'm Jane Griswold from the sales department. You see, this one simple act gives you the ability from here on out to consistently connect with that individual that you met, whether it's a simple smile or a nod when you're walking down the hallway if they're walking with other people. It opens up the door for future business interactions at other functions. So by staying on top of the company business, you can simply meet these people and say truths, such as, I see you're chairing the hospitality committee again. Lucky for us. It's also okay to be proactive and introduce yourself to an individual that you want to meet. Walk up to someone and say, hi, I've seen you around the building and I wanted to introduce myself to you. I'm an administrative assistant and I work in the sales department. Extend your hand and remember to give that web-to-web, palm-to-palm, not wimpy handshake. Getting on someone's radar by simply being cordial and polite can pay off in spades. That's the power of very important people.